I'm here today with Congressman Phil Gingrey, who is the representative of Georgia's 11th District. I have three questions for him today. He's taken time out of his busy schedule to talk to us. It's an honor to speak with you, sir. My first question involves the current big news in the political arena, and that is President Barack Obama's statements in support of gay marriage. What was your initial reaction to his comments?
Well, I can't say that I was totally surprised. The president, on many of these important issues, says that his position is evolving. Indeed, I guess you could almost call this election the evolution election. But even Charles Darwin lost patience. And I think that Barack Obama was against it. He was for it. He was against it. Now he's for it. So he certainly has had a long evolutionary process in regard to his position. My position is that I've always felt, as a Roman Catholic, that marriage is one of our sacraments in my church, and possibly the most important sacred sacrament. That is marriage between a man and a woman, and I feel very strongly about that. And indeed, 30 states have already rejected this idea of saying that marriage is other than between a man and a woman. 7 other states are considering it. They'll probably reject the idea, the position that President Obama has adopted. But you know, this is an election year, and sometimes you play to a certain constituency, and the president certainly has the ability to do that, and we'll see whether that's to his advantage politically or not. I will say that from a policy perspective, I am not opposed to civil unions, and certainly would not deny anyone their rights in regard to what the government provides for them. Visitation rights in the hospital is an example. Our social programs such as the availability of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, but we're talking about the sacrament and the institution of marriage. And I get that, yes, to a degree from the Constitution, but primarily from the Bible, and most particularly from the Old Testament. And I will not change my views on that, not certainly for political convenience.
Unless major progress is made, Stafford loan interest rates are expected to double this summer. What interventions would you like to see Congress make before the July 1st deadline, if any?
Well, as you know, that's a great question. As you know, we had a vote in the House of Representatives in regard to not letting that interest rate double at the end of July. And it does sunset, and if Congress had not acted, then our students who are struggling to repay those student loans at the current 3.25% interest rate, it would, as you point out, actually double at the end of July, and these students can't afford that. So in a very bipartisan way, the House of Representatives voted 2 weeks ago not to let that happen, to extend for a full year the 3.25%, the lower interest rate on those Stafford loans, and I was a strong supporter of that.
My final question for you is that this being an election year, do you see Republicans possibly warming up to a potential DREAM Act 2.0 bill?
Well, of course, when you say a DREAM Act 2.0, I'm not really sure what you're referencing. You know, the first DREAM Act that I'm familiar with, and there may have been legislation even before 2002, but when Senator Dick Durbin introduced, maybe it's DREAM Act 1.0 in the Senate back in 2001, it was rejected. They could not get the necessary procedural votes to move forward with this so-called DREAM Act. And several additional iterations of the DREAM Act have come up for votes in the House and Senate. There was a DREAM Act that was co-sponsored by my colleague from Illinois, not Barack Obama, but Luis Gutierrez, who is very supportive of the DREAM Act that did pass the House of Representatives. I did not vote for it, and it did not pass the Senate. I don't know what DREAM Act 2.0 looks like. I haven't seen it. It's not an act, and I don't even think it's yet in bill form. But whoever is promoting DREAM 2.0, I want to see the bill. I want to read it. I want to be very aware that I know all of the ifs, ands, and buts about it, the unintended consequences, the possibility of amnesty, which I'm totally opposed to. So on that question, you put me down as lean no until I have an opportunity to read the bill.